A huge mistake on bachelor party, now I want her back. 5 years ago, I John, 28 made a choice that drastically altered the course of my life. At that time, I was the new architect at my firm, primarily working on subdivisions, and I was genuinely enjoying my career. I was also engaged to my long-term girlfriend, Anna, now 29, then 24, and felt invincible, believing nothing could derail my happiness. After Anna accepted my proposal, we began planning our wedding. We opted for a simple elopement in San Diego, inviting only close family. With the trip being relatively affordable, we decided to indulge in some pre-wedding adventures instead of traditional bachelor and bachelorette parties. Anna's bucket list item was to swim with sharks, which she accomplished in Florida with her friend Maggie. My dream was to visit Thailand, a fascination I had since childhood. Anna encouraged me to pursue this trip, reminding me of my long-held desire. 6 months into our engagement, my best friend Jorge and I set off for Thailand. The first few days were a blast, filled with beaches, temples, and drinks. However, on the third night, Jorge got extremely drunk, which frustrated me as we had a jungle excursion planned for the next day. Despite my attempts to pace myself, Jorge woke up with a severe hangover and refused to join me. Determined to go, I ventured out alone and encountered a man offering a cheap jungle tour. Despite some initial hesitation, I felt reassured by his fluent English and decided to join him. The ride started off fun, but soon took a dark turn. We stopped in a remote area, and local law enforcement arrived unexpectedly. They searched the Jeep and discovered a significant amount of methamphetamine. Panic set in as I realized I had been taken into Cambodia without my ID or a passport. The police were unyielding, and I had no way to explain my situation. What followed was a nightmare that lasted 52 months. I was imprisoned in a Cambodian jail, where conditions were harsh and communication with the outside world was non-existent. It took 5 months before I even saw a judge, and my case was delayed multiple times due to a lack of interpreters and an overwhelmed judicial system. After enduring a lengthy pre-trial process, I finally had my hearing, where the judge dismissed my charges, only for the prosecution to appeal. This led to an additional 28 months in custody, during which I came to terms with the fact that my loved ones likely thought I was dead. When I was finally released, I found myself in a foreign country with nothing. The embassy confirmed there was a missing persons report filed for me, and they helped me reach my family. However, when I tried to contact Anna, I found out she was engaged to someone else. My parents had kept in touch with her, and they revealed that she had become a significant part of their lives during my absence. The most painful revelation came when they showed me a save-the-date card for her wedding, featuring a photo of her with her fiancé and a child. I learned that I had a son named Paul John Ryan, who was now 4 years old. My heart shattered as I processed the reality of my life after all those years in captivity. In the 2 weeks since I got back home, it simultaneously feels like so much has happened, and that virtually nothing has happened. I have been largely brought up to speed on all that has happened on this side of the world. When Jorge finally got up out of bed that day 5 years ago, he tried to call me. After having no success, the officers confiscated my phone immediately upon arrest. I never saw it again. He decided to just go about his day, assuming I was enjoying my excursion. It wasn't until it was well past dark that he started to get concerned. He called back home to see if anyone else had heard from me. The next morning my family and fiancé were blowing up his phone wondering if I had come back yet. That's when he began venturing out to all the excursion places. They all reported that they had not seen me. He began to panic and alerted everyone back home. He went to the authorities at this point. My parents, brother and fiancé all made the trip to join him. They spent a month canvassing the area before they had to go back. My parents made another trip to Thailand to try and find me, but again turned up nothing. Over the next year and a half they were a constant reminder to the Thai officials of my disappearance. Unfortunately, no one thought to look in Cambodia. Meanwhile, my fiancée Anna came to the realization she was pregnant. On the day I left for Thailand, she was unknowingly around 10 weeks. I can only imagine how hard it was on her. I'm missing. She's pregnant with my child. I wish I had never gone. My parents told me Anna really leaned on them, and they were happy to help. Over the years they've just grown closer and closer. Her parents were there, and supportive, but they are much older than mine and not in as good of health. My mom ended up taking Anna to a lot of her OB appointments. She was there in the delivery room along with Anna's mom. It was apparently very stressful as Paul was born at just 34 weeks. Luckily he showed no signs of health problems and they just kept him under heightened observation initially. My parents tell me they needed this. The anguish of not knowing what happened to me was very hard, and the birth of their grandson provided a much-needed respite from the grief. They keep telling me how sorry they are, but they didn't do anything wrong. I guess it's just guilt now that they know I was out there, and they failed to find me. Jorge has been by to see me. He has apologized far too many times. He's gotten married since the trip, and has 2 kids now. He seems nervous around me, and I guess that's fair. I do hold some resentment towards him. It's not his fault, but the feeling is there anyway. My brother and sister have marched on with life. My brother has kids now, and my sister is married. I missed all of this. I could probably get over all of that. But losing my fiancée and missing out on 4 years with my son, it's been too much. My parents have set me up with a therapist. I went to the first session but have no idea what to talk about. I was wrongfully incarcerated for 5 years, beaten at times, starved at times. Plenty of PTSD. My whole family thought I was dead, so much so they had a memorial service for me 3 years to the day of my disappearance. I was supposed to marry the love of my life, and she is now engaged to someone else. Then to top it all off, I have a 4-year-old son, who has been raised by my replacement since he was 18 months old. Paul only knows this guy as Dad, he calls him Dad, and now here I am, back from the dead to fuck up everyone else's perfect little lives. I'm ranting though. It's just too much to unpack. I still haven't directly spoken to Anna. My father went to her house the day after my return. He sat her and her fiancé Adam 34M down, told them I had been found. She began to tear up. She thought he was saying my body had been recovered. When he corrected her, she had a complete breakdown. Her fiancé comforted her. My dad said she was just silent afterwards. I tried texting her. I got no response for a whole day. Then just I'm so sorry, I just can't right now. I haven't asked anyone about her fiancé, other than I know she's been engaged for about 2 months, and the wedding is supposed to be in 6. No one has just volunteered any information at this point. We were supposed to all meet at the park this past weekend. My resurgence has thrown the harmony out of whack and I can tell everyone is a little off. My mother typically watches Paul while Anna and Adam are at work. A lot of time it's at her house, but since I showed up it's been exclusively over at Anna's. I hear they are prepping him to meet me. He is aware I'm his father. My pictures are all over at my parents' house. Anna has apparently always had a picture of me up in Paul's room. I'm a shell of the guy in the picture, but I guess at least I kinda look like that still. He won't be totally blindsided. My parents and I arrived at the park first. When we saw their car pull up, only Adam and Paul got out. Anna was not with them. Paul ran up to my dad first and gave him a big hug. He saw me and kind of retreated to my mom, then over to Adam. I could tell he was nervous. I mean shit, so was I. And I'm not 4 years old. The other adults tried to say something to get us to talk or embrace or something. I told them to let it go. Let him go play. He perked up and ran off to the playground. Adam came up and stuck his hand out. We shook, and he said, "Sorry, Anna, couldn't today." We were about out the door, and she broke down, told me she wasn't ready. I just said, "I understand." I went over to the playground to try and bond in some way. Turns out Paul is big into superheroes. He pretended to be Spider-Man and I had to be Rhino. I chased him all over the playground, and let his web me up. He laughed and smiled. When the food was ready I was happy to see he liked his hot dogs the same as me. Ketchup on one side, mustard on the other, relish on top. I thought maybe this won't be so hard. Then he called Adam Dad. I shouldn't have surprised by this. He's been in this kid's life for 2.5 years, he marrying his mom, they all live in the same house. That all said, it was like a knife in the heart. I began to actually tear up. I excused myself for a moment, and said I was going over to the gross park bathroom. When I came out after a minute Adam was waiting. I could see my parents across the way watching Paul. I felt instantly awkward. The last thing I wanted right now was a heart-to-heart with Adam. He was taller than me, more built than me, and had gotten to have the life I was supposed to have. He just said, "Can we talk?" I said, "Yeah, man, what's on your mind?" Adam began, "Look, I'm sorry for what happened to you. It's a bad deal all around. I just wanted to talk because I'm worried about Anna and Paul. Anna more than him. She hasn't been herself, which I can appreciate to some degree. It took a long time for her to get over you. I'm the first person she dated after your incident. She cried the first time we kissed because it was different. I want you to have a relationship with your son. He's little, he's resilient. I had 2 dads growing up. I know he will be fine. I don't know how fine her or you will be if this goes too fast, and from a selfish standpoint I don't want anything disrupting our life or our engagement. I love her, and want what's best. I'd like you two to take it slow and process everything before you meet. I made an appointment for her to see a counselor. I'd appreciate it if you could respect that and not push her or reach out to her. Let her figure things out on her own first. I was pissed listening to him, pretentious ass. But fuck he had some points. I don't want to rip open all these old wounds. I ended up just saying, "Yeah man, I can do that," and walked off to join my parents and Paul. Adam went into the gross bathroom. When he came back over he said him and Paul were going to head out. Paul gave everyone hugs, including me. I was surprised, but pleasantly. Then he called me Rhino, and ran off to Adam. As they left I heard him say, "Dad, can we get a cookie cake on the way home?" He's Dad, I'm Rhino, and this just fucking sucks.